Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a DIY on how to do these really easy paper flowers. I'm not using a bunch of stuff from the store, it's really just paper and a hot glue gun. I'm really excited to show you at the end of this video. You're going to see how I install this all cascading on my front porch for spring and also to celebrate my daughter's birthday. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments down below. I should link everything I use, but we're going to go through, it's really just a couple things. And then also, if you haven't already, hit that like and subscribe button. I can't wait to show you, so let's get started. To get started, we're going to need a round base. Because I'm doing an extra large flower, I actually had to cut this out of a cardboard box. And you're also going to need 60 sheets of 65-pound cardstock. I got this in a rather large packet of all kinds of different reds and pinks from Michael's. And then these are the little shape patterns that you're going to need for each petal. I have made them myself, but you can find other DIYers where you can buy a pattern, but I didn't do that. You'll need a hot glue gun, a little bit of flower wire. This is really easy and can be cut with scissors. We're going to use that to create a little hanger on the back. Scissors, a pencil, and a lot of hot glue. Now lay out all your patterns. I'm going to start with the largest and work my way down to the smallest. I'm going to do between 3 and 4 sheets per trace. So when you're tracing the paper, depending on how much you want to cut, I did 3, I think I did 3 or 4 in this one. I can't remember. I did over 20 of these in the course of a weekend, so I don't remember. But put like 3 together and then just start putting all of these, trace each one of these petals on all the different papers. So if you need to do 12, like I need to do 12 of the large ones, then I do 4, 4, 4. If I need to do 9, because most of these little patterns I only do 9 of, then you just do 3, 3, 3, if that makes any sense. So go ahead and trace out all your petals at once, get everything ready to go, and then start cutting them out. This probably is what takes the most time, is cutting all the patterns out and then actually gluing them into petals. But just go ahead and cut them all out and start to put them in little stacks so that you Next, what we're gonna do is we're gonna glue the bottom part of the extra large petals together. Just put it on the inside and then just let them dry. It takes 2 seconds. Once you're done with that, we're gonna start to roll the leaves so that it starts to take form and look more like a petal. So when you do this, you look at the side that you actually want on the outside, and you're gonna roll the corners so that they're facing out. Go ahead and start to roll all the middle parts as well. So you'll see we roll the outsides and then fold it over and roll it again so that it starts to make almost like a wave pattern. I'll kind of slow this down a little bit so that you can see. Once you have the outside roll, flip it over and start to cradle it in your hand so it makes this nice U shape. That's what's going to give it the petal. Then we're going to be cutting them down the center, and when you get them to stand up, you'll see why you want to roll them opposite directions. So after you have everything rolled up, it should look something like this. I like to keep all my sizes independent because once you start gluing them together, it goes really, really fast. So start with your largest petal. And what we're going to do is we're going to take maybe 2 or 3 of these at a time, and we're going to cut about 1 inch, maybe a little bit more depending on how big they are. These are really big petals. We're going to cut 1 inch down at the very bottom up. So now that you've cut your petal, what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually glue the bottom parts together so that it starts to take shape. By sliding the two into a triangle, you'll see that the petal will stand upright. We're gonna hot glue that, but before we do that, we need to decide how high we want it to sit. If you only do the bottom portion a little bit, it stands up pretty loosely, and here together tightly, it goes really high. So because this is the outside, we wanna go loose to tight. So the first maybe extra large, and large petals, you should do them a little bit looser. So go ahead and take a glue gun on one side, making sure that your petals are facing outward like it is here. Go ahead and push your triangles together so that it creates a loose kind of flowy looking petal instead of an upright and tight one. Go ahead and do this with all your petals and put them into little sections so that when we get ready to glue them together, you have your extra large, blah, 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 all ready to go. There you have it, guys. Oh my God, here are all of our petals. All in all, this took me about an hour to do, from using the pattern to cutting and tracing to actually gluing the petals together. So I am going to start always with lining up all my different sizes. You'll see how quickly this goes, but you want to have everything together. Before we get started gluing, I need to put on a little hook. So I know I'm going to be hanging these around my front door. So I'm going to poke 2 little holes in this cardboard, and then I'm going to string that flower wire right through it as to create just like a little hanger. Nothing exciting. I don't want to spend a ton of money on this DIY. The paper itself was about $20 per 60 pack. So when you think about the extra large flower, it's about 20 bucks in material plus whatever glue. So maybe 23 bucks. So anyway, go ahead and thread this through. I like it to be on the clean side, and then on the side that's got the Amazon, that's the side I'm going to glue my petals on because it's ugly, and the other side, not that anyone's ever going to see either of them, but it just looks nicer. So go ahead and twist this around so that you have plenty of give on one side so that you can hang it, and then we're going to actually glue this down so that if it ever moves, it doesn't mess up your flowers. Especially if you plan on traveling with these or taking them to an event, you want to make sure everything is sturdy and in place. So go ahead and take your hot glue gun, and we're going to just run a line on this, pull it tight so it stays in its place, and then go ahead and just sit there and hold it for a minute or two while it dries. Okay, now we're ready to start gluing on our petals. We have to decide what the top is and the bottom. So the top for me is the area where we put in that little hook, and the bottom is probably at the end of the Amazon little tail there. So the first thing I always glue is the piece that's going to go on the top. That is the most prominent part of the flower. Go ahead and use a pretty healthy amount of glue on the very bottom. And then as close as you can to the edge without it falling, too far off, because you need the steadiness of the board. Hold it down. I usually hold it for about 3 seconds per flower, especially the first flowers, because they don't have the weight of the other flowers or petals to keep them strong. So once you've decided, okay, here's the first, it's at the top. Now we're going to put on the bottom. So you're going to actually be working in quarters. As you work around this, you're going to work from top to bottom, left to right, and then in the middle of each of those. And you're kind of work your way around the flower in that motion. So go ahead and start putting all of your petals on. See how we work in quarters. And now we're going to start filling in on the back side. Sometimes I put them in around the back, sometimes I put them on top, depending and giving it that different depth. So the only thing I don't want is anything to look too uniform. So some are on top, some are on bottom, to make it have that authentic flower feel. So now that I have all my extra large petals on, I'm going to start gluing on my large petals. So these are the full paper This other one is a paper and a half. And you're going to want to, again, offset working quarters. So go every other petal, and then you're going to go start filling it in right in between those. And work your way around nice and slow. You'll see once this gets started, it goes so fast. The one thing I always notice about making these flowers is I'll get to a certain place where I'm looking to my side and realizing I have a ton of petals and I don't have that much room. If you start to see that, go ahead and start pushing your petals back. You can even find in some of these other little areas, you'll see I start filling it in inside areas that I've already laid out because I don't have enough room. Now we're getting down to the end where we need to start transitioning into a much smaller petal. So go ahead and fill this in so it looks as even as possible. Sometimes I even count how many are in each quarter so that I make sure like one side didn't get too many or one side, didn't, get enough. Go ahead and keep filling in the flower with all the different sizes you have, working from, again, your largest down to your very smallest. Okay, now that you're almost finished with all of the petals, you should have about maybe 5, 6 of the very small petals left. We're going to actually use some of the flat little petals that we didn't curl earlier, and we're going to actually make the center of this rose. So using your hand, start to shape these kind of free flat petals together. What we're going to do is actually curl them into each other. We're going to take the bottom, and these ones you haven't cut yet, these should just be off to the side. You are going to glue them together and create a square base at the bottom that's flat so that we can actually glue that to the center of the rose. So first, what you want to do is glue these two pieces together because they're going to become one. And then you're going to want to bend the centers so that they create a nice square bottom so that we can glue that flat side to the rose. Now using your hand, start working the center of these, or the actual petal itself, so that we can start making a nice cone for the middle. And then we're going to be applying a bunch of petals to this and watching it grow. With each one, once you get it in the shape you like, just put a little hot glue on it and then hold it there in place while you start to build on it. Keep building on your center. You should have between 6 and 8 petals for the actual core. And once you feel like you've kind of gotten to that place where you can start having free-flowing petals next to it, they don't need to be glued together anymore, you can you'll know because you'll test it. So get one petal, kind of set it next to it. Does it look good, or do I need to keep building on it? So once you feel like you're at that place, go ahead and let's go back to the flower and set our core aside and start seeing how many more petals we need to give it that nice core that you need in a rose, all the baby buds and all that part, and then slowly start building on it. You won't put the actual bud in until the very end, otherwise you won't be able to get your other petals in. Keep testing the bud in the middle to see how many more petals you need to put in. There's been times I've had to go back and cut more petals because I didn't have enough to really fill in the bottom. That's the most important part because people see it. And then once you realize that you're at that place, go ahead and glue the bud. And I like to actually get a pencil and push down the center of this if it's too delicate, especially with the small ones that get a little bit harder. These big ones are so much easier. So once you feel like everything's there, start fluffing all of the petals so that you know that everything's fitting well. And there you go. That's how it's done, guys. I'm so happy that you took the time to watch this and enjoy this giant rose. You can do this in a million different colors. You'll see if you wait till the end of this video. I did this in white and like 5 or 6 different shades of pink. It was so much fun. I haven't yet needed to make a bigger rose than this, but I really love it. If you have a little girl's room, it looks so beautiful hung on the wall like this. It's really sturdy. If you need to ship this in a box, it'll ship well. And I think you guys are really, really going to enjoy hanging this up at your next party or birthday celebration. Thank you again for watching, and please stay tuned for my porch makeover with these beautiful paper flowers.